community? Is anybody doing anything to award or recognize you?
Well, the museum produced the Voices of History tour in conjunction with Antenna Audio. And this year it won a silver medal in the competition in the History and Culture category of the American Association of Museums Muse Award. This is an international award, actually. They had 138 applicants or entries for this award. There were 4 gold, 8 silver, and I think a certain number of honorable mentions. And we received one of the silver awards for our sign language guide.
Oh, that is so
Beautiful, beautiful. You do so much for the community. You purchased all the property in the block.
Absolutely.
And you're going to do what with that property?
Okay, we've purchased all of the properties in the 1600 block of East North Avenue. We've purchased half of the properties in the 1500 block of East North Avenue. And through the Mayor's Blight Elimination Program, we acquired 53 properties in the rear of the museum. So the plan for all of this is that we are going to expand the museum along the 1600 block. We'll be creating a commercial district of tourism-related businesses in the 1500 block. And then our shared museum community aspect of this in the rear of the museum. If you look at this as a small rectangle within a larger rectangle, the larger rectangle is the community. And so that's the residential areas that will remain on Broadway, Lafayette, Bond Street. In between that are alleyways that we would share, and the museum hired a landscape architect. We came up with the landscape plan for those alleyways that would be a part of the shared museum community space. We went to the community years ago and asked them if Great Blacks in Wax were sharing your space, what would you like to see happen? And they said that they didn't want to feel hemmed in by the museum. So we hired the landscape architect, came up with a fencing strategy. The residents of the community chose the fencing that they desired. It has lattice, so it opens it up. We chose wrought iron for ours so that you don't get that hemmed in space. The fencing that they chose as a community, I would not have chosen. And so they have to live here, they have to live with it much more than I do. So giving them some input, and that's very much a part of, and at the heart of this project, that community development and cultural development go hand in hand, which as you know, it's Dr. Elmer Martin in his finest form.
Yeah, it's great that you involve the community in the continuation of the museum, because that's what keeps it going as the community.
Exactly. From the very beginning, when we had children from the community ending up on our doors asking about jobs, then we came to understand that we couldn't operate as an island within this community. That we had to open the museum up to the youth of this community and to the parents, and that's what we've set about doing. And it became our mission to make sure that we were not these outsiders looking in this community, but that we were very much a part of the future and the well-being of the community.
That's great. Now, is the Great Blacks in Wax Museum, National Great Blacks Wax Museum, are they offering classes or teaching workshops to the community?
We do a number of workshops for residents, for children. We just finished a project, and we just finished a project with Lamel Middle School.
I went to Lamel.
And those youth were wonderful. It was From These Roots, Learn to Earn. And the project involved having them learn the history in the museum, but also learn the history that emanates from this museum, so that they learn about a Mother Mary Lang, lived and worked and started the Oblates at St. Francis Academy, and then take a tour of the St. Francis Academy. Learn how the visitor center works, and learn how you have to promote the Preakness. to get people to come and be interested in it. So there were 12 students, I think, in that program, and it was a 6-week program, and it was our first time working with Lamel, but it was a positive experience for us all, and we're looking to get it going with more children next year. In a few months, we'll be starting our Tracing Your Roots program, which is also a middle school program, and the children will be learning about the history in their own backyard.
That's great.
That their East Baltimore community is steeped with history. They'll be learning how to do a web search, to do a genealogical search to find out who they are and who their ancestors were. And then we have a program for high school youth, an internship program, and they are paid by the Mayor's Office of Economic Development.
Yeah, I know listeners, our viewers would love to know more about how they can get tickets and admission to the museum, but we're going to do that. Well, as I promised, you're going to tell us how people can get groups to come into the museum, but you won your award for creating a program for deaf people. So if there are groups that have handicaps or multiple handicaps, you make yourself accessible to them.
Right, our sign language guide, the audio tour involves 4 different parts. So there's the adult teen tour. There's a tour for children pre-K through 3rd grade. There's a tour, a specialized audio descriptive tour for the blind and visually impaired. And then there's a sign language guide for the deaf and hard of hearing.
That is one. No wonder you won an award, a silver medal.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You deserve that. Now tell people how they can get to the museum and spend some time here and some money.
Well, they can call our reservation line 410-563-3404. They can go online to www.greatblacksinwax.org. They can fax 410-675-5040.
And you have discounts for seniors?
We have discounts for groups of 10 or more.
Put it on the screen. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, call for the information, and somebody will give you the information for Founders Day, and come out and enjoy Founders Day. Hey, you can't beat it for $1.
$1? I got my dollar right here.
And so we'd also just to get people to understand that there's always a reason to come back. Many people said, well, I came 5 years ago. And if you came 5 years ago, then that means you probably have not seen our exhibit, The Struggle Against Lynching Lessons for Today. You haven't seen our figure of Dr. Dorothy Height, or the Lynx International, and Myrtle Tyler Faithful, and Walter White, and Thurgood Marshall, our new Thurgood Marshall. And so there's always
you're exhuming the body, and
right,
you have the story.
We have the story. We've had the story of Emmett Till since 1994, when we unveiled our exhibit, And a Little Child Shall Lead Them, Black Youth in the Struggle, where we talk about the struggles of an Emmett Till and how his death helped to spark the civil rights movement in a way that no single event might have. Or children out there on the front lines of battle during the civil rights marches and movement, facing the water hoses and the billy clubs and the attack dogs. Or children in the Soweto youth who were fighting to make South Africa free. Or children in slavery, a little child from Maryland named Cripple Caesar, who lost his arms and legs to frostbite during slavery, but was so determined to be free that he managed to escape slavery even though he had no hands and legs. So children who have been called upon to sit down, sit in the face of and fight against those forces of evil that would oppress us all as human beings.
And of course, Don Douglas's lineage goes back to Frederick Douglass. What can we say about Frederick Douglass here at this museum?
Frederick Douglass was one of going back to our very beginning in 1983, and actually 1980 when we started our traveling exhibit, the Martins wax exhibition of great Afro-Americans.
I remember that.
And our Frederick Douglass was one of the first 4 figures that we had, and it was damaged, and we got another Frederick Douglass, and it just did not do for me. It didn't have the passion that that first Frederick Douglass figure did. So my husband created a huge mask, and sometime this year, and I'd really like to talk to you and your family about this, we'd like to unveil a new Frederick Douglass that symbolizes that first Frederick Douglass that we had as part of our traveling exhibit.
Yeah, I know Frederick IV would greatly, he probably be right on board.
I'm sure he would.
Definitely. He's so hard to get a hold of.
Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to give out Frederick Douglass the fourth telephone number we want. But come right back and find out what's happening on Spotlight on the Great Blacks in Wax Museum. We'll be right back.
That's good.
Yeah.
Martin, do you have any closing thoughts for our viewers?
Well, I'm thankful that we've had the opportunity to tell all of the history that we tell, that we've been in this city and state for 22 years trying to do what we do, and that our visitors come from all over the country and all over the world. And I just want to thank the many, many people who visit the museum.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for giving us such a warm and information-filled place to bring our friends, our relatives, our neighbors, our Girl Scout groups, Boy Scout groups.
Everybody, because it's open to everybody in the community, whether you're black, white, red, whatever. You are definitely welcome to learn about the history.
And this is John Carrington.
And I'm Dawn Douglas.
And we're here talking to Dr. Joanne Martin, one of the founders of the National Great Blacks in Wax Museum, on her television show, which of course she's the second guest on, Spotlight on the Great Blacks in Wax Museum.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Spotlight, and I'm Nikita King, and I have the honor and a blessing to be here with Miss Cathy Hughes, who is the legend of today. Pretty much everything here today is all about Miss Cathy Hughes. She's been a pioneer and an iconic figure for our community for years. She's done so many things as an entrepreneur and just a trendsetter for us to look up to as a community, and I'm just honored just to hear her speak today.
So today I'm not going to do much speaking. They're going to unveil my wax figure to go in the Great Blacks in Wax Museum, which I've been supporting since before they had a museum. That's how long I've been with the Martin family. Elmer was a great friend, big supporter of my company, and to watch his, widow be able to continue their mission, because certainly this started with the two of them carrying these little wax figures to their classrooms to teach inner city youth about the greatness of the Black experience, and I thought that was so wonderful. And now no one comes to visit me that doesn't get to go to the Great Blacks and Wax Museum, so to have a wax figure of me in the museum is such a blessing and such an honor. It really humbles me.
And yes, that's so amazing, and it's just like, that's where you deserve to be, because all the things that you accomplished over the years, it's just like for the things that people would think is impossible. You started out with just you and your son, and like, could you tell us something about your adventure through all of these years?
Well, I was pregnant at 16 and Mama at 17, and a lot of folks thought that that meant that I would be a statistic, and so with my child, and I was determined that they would be wrong. And the greatest blessing has been that my son, not only was I able to rear him into successful manhood, but he now runs my company.
That's right.
And is my business partner. Although I tease him, I don't know how he became my partner. I thought he worked for me, but anyway, some type of way. And it's so interesting because a lot of people think that he is a owner in my company because he's my son, and that's not true. I had another partner who on my son's 21st birthday gave him his interest. My son's first stock in my company did not come from me. It actually came from a gentleman named Skip Finley who had helped me write my business plan. And I mean, to be here in Baltimore today as part of this community festival, they average 50,000 people each year turn out for this. This is such a great opportunity to come out, get some fresh air, meet some people, more importantly, have some good old-fashioned family, wholesome fun. It's so interesting how we complain about our youth not doing this, not doing it. It's because we adults don't do the things we used to do, which is take the kids to the park on the weekend. And this was when parks were segregated. You had to go to a little watering hole. I remember as a child, they used to turn on the hydrant and call it a waterfall. Okay, a water park. We would create our own water parks. The fire department would come out. But I love Baltimore. I get in a lot of trouble around the country saying that Baltimore is my favorite city. But Baltimore has the most activist community of any as it relates to people of African heritage, which is everybody, as you well know. Everybody started out with Eve in Africa, according to research now. But at one time, the largest branch of the NAACP was here. And this city has always been at the forefront, and it's so interesting because I get so upset because I love two cities, Omaha, Nebraska, where I'm from, and Baltimore, Maryland, and both cities are so disrespected. Comedians love to call us Bamas and talk about, what we don't do. Yeah. They need to open their eyes and realize what we actually do that influences the entire United States, and particularly as it relates to civil rights.
Absolutely.
Baltimore is the headquarters, so I'm just so honored that I'm here. We're in the courthouse today. They're going to unveil this wax figure. Everyone says, aren't you honored? Aren't you excited? I'm excited about being in the Great Blacks and Wax Museum, no question about it. I don't know how excited I am about getting old enough to warrant a wax figure. That only comes after you're in the fourth quarter of your life, usually. But what an honor to be in this great museum.
And what an honor just to be here with you today. And then also, I just want to, to touch on some of the issues that you brought about that impacted us so greatly as a community, because you gave us that platform to be able to be heard, and all of the issues, like everything, not every day, but most of the time when I turn on the radio and I hear your voice, it's just like I'm just stunned, and then it's like I can't stop listening because it's like I have not yet.
You heard my last one about 2,500 young kids serving life sentences without parole. How crazy is that?
The spotlight is so honored just to have you here speaking with us today. And is there anything that you could say out there to our youth that that inspired them?
Well, I was a troubled youth. I was pregnant at 16. I was a mother by the time I was 17, and my mother practiced hard love. She said that if I wanted to play adult games, I need to live as an adult, so she put me out. So it was me and my son, and the interesting thing is, although she put us out of her house, she didn't stop supervising me. She'd call every evening, ask me, what I was feeding him, would complain if I was opening a can, or, it's like, frozen vegetables are better than canned vegetables, but you need to learn how to cook fresh vegetables. So she never, allowed me to just do whatever I wanted to do. But he was 5 years old before she ever allowed me to leave him with her. She refused to keep him. She said, no, you want to be grown? But I talk to young people a lot about teen pregnancy. And so often, it hasn't changed much since even my day, when they think that if you get pregnant as a teenager, that it's a mistake, it's a handicap, it's going to ruin your life, you're not going to be able. That's not true. The glass is either half full or half empty. Now, if you want to see it as half empty, then it was a mistake and it's going to be horrible. If you see it as half full, then you realize that God has blessed you with the greatest opportunity to first and foremost think outside yourself and have a priority bigger than yourself. It's so easy when you're 16, 17, 18 years old or younger to focus only on yourself. What am I going to put on today? Who likes me? What car am I going to be seen in? Am I going to get an invitation to this or that? And when you have a baby, you got to worry about, did I remember to pick up some Pampers? Do I have his milk? Okay, do I have someone to take care of him? The other thing that it really helped me focus, because I was a party girl, it helped me focus on staying home and reading and learning and getting my life together, because it slowed me down. I wasn't going to leave my precious little bundle of joy with just anyone, okay? And when God put him in my body, and the nurses and doctors took him out of my body and put him in my arms, I said, God, there are no mistakes with you. So I know that this baby is not a mistake, but I also know that I don't know how to do this. But help me make this baby my top priority. And I say to young girls all the time, it's real easy to be a good mama. You can be 14, 13, 12 and be a good mama before they get to be a year old. When they start moving and walking and wanting to grab things, it's real easy when they're just eating and sleeping and going to the bathroom. When they're so precious, you can have their little ears pierced, you can dress them up so cute. So most mamas, regardless of the age, teen mamas are good mamas that first year. It's when the child is starting to develop.
Yes.
Can you be selfless enough to concentrate on having a future for this child? And when you concentrate on making certain that that baby that God has blessed you with is going to be entitled to a life that is full of love, entitled to a life where they're going to experience education and different situations where they're going to fascinate you with their growth and their development, then God rewards you when you focus on all those things as it relates to the baby. It's easy to be conceited about yourself.
Yes.
Most of us, even those of us who want to dress a certain way or live a certain way, we still want to learn. But when your priority is for another human being to learn because of what you do every day, then guess what? You learn like you've never learned before. You grow like you've never grown before. And I have to honestly say, I thank God for a career that I was blessed with. That Michael Jordan once said it best. He said he didn't know they were going to pay him to play basketball. He loved doing it. He would have done it free. I feel the same way about media. I had no idea. When I was a little girl, they used to send notes home, Cathy talks too much in class. I was like, I make money talking now. Okay, all right. They tried to hamper my career. They tried to stifle my career. But when you really do what's right by another human being, God rewards you in ways that you can never even imagine. Oprah says it best, God dreams bigger dreams than you ever dreamed for yourself. But when you're able to stop worrying about what you're going to wear and worry about what you're going to put on this child, when you stop worrying about whether or not you're going to have a date and start worrying about was your child invited to so-and-so's birthday party, okay, then your whole life changes and it opens up. And I think they want me.
That was beautiful, Mrs. Hughes, and you said it best. And even I quote you in one of your interviews when you said your top priorities was your son, and your career, and in that order.
I love the fact that today I'm being honored for my career with the wax figure. But my greatest accomplishment is not what I've done professionally, although I'm glad that I know that I was part of an effort to open doors for individuals like yourself to have your own television show. But the reality is, I think that the greatest challenge and the greatest blessing and the greatest accomplishment, I don't think I've been successful in my career yet, because I think I'm still a work in progress. I think you're judged on how successful you are wrongly. You should be judged at the end. Did you help more people than you hurt? Did you change someone's life because you had a certain position in life? But I really like, if I could give myself an award, it would be a motherhood award, not a professional career award.
Yes, you deserve it all. You certainly deserve what's taking place here today to unveil it. And thank you, Ms. Cathy Hughes, for joining us today on Spotlight.
I want to wish you and Spotlight the very best. I'm so proud. When I see a sister doing her own thing, it just makes my heart sing, because I know that just like I impacted my son's life, I've impacted another woman's life, and that's very important.
Yes, you have.
I wasn't blessed with any girls.
Wow, that's so amazing, and I thank you once again for being here with us today. Thank you everyone for joining us on Spotlight. We'll be right back.